Imagine it is 2:17 a.m. in a defense control room. The lights are dim, coffee cups sit next to keyboards. A radar screen sweeps the sky in slow green circles. Then a new track appears. Not a plane, not a drone. The speed number jumps so high the system checks it twice. For a few seconds, nobody speaks, because everyone in that room knows the rule. When a missile is coming, silence means the clock has started. Now here is the claim, shaking headlines. Iran says its new hypersonic weapon leaves U.S. defenses useless. Iran calls it Fattah, a name that means the opener. That is not just a name, it is a message. It is saying, we can open the door you thought was locked. Stay with me, because the real danger is not just the word hypersonic. People hear hypersonic and think unstoppable, but speed alone is not new. Many ballistic missiles have moved faster than Mach 5 for decades, especially on the way down. So the real question is not only how fast, the real question is, can you predict it? Missile defense is built on one thing: prediction. Think of it like catching a ball. If someone throws a ball in a clean arc, you can run to where it will land. That is what defense systems try to do. They do not chase a missile like a movie car chase. They pick a meeting point and try to collide with it. A normal ballistic missile is closer to that clean arc. After the main engine stops, physics takes over, the path becomes mostly predictable. Still scary, still deadly, but predictable enough for computers to plan. Now picture a different ball, a ball that can turn in midair. That is what maneuvering warheads and glide-style weapons are trying to be. They can dip, pull up, or slide sideways. And here is the painful part. A small change halfway through the flight can become a huge change near the target. That one fact attacks the defender's biggest advantage. Iran's public claims about Fattah 1 include speeds in the range of about Mach 12 to Mach 15, and a reach around 1,400 kilometers. Iran has also talked about a follow-on system often called Fattah 2, with claims of longer range and a design that sounds closer to a hypersonic glide idea. Even if you don't trust every number, the direction matters. Iran is trying to make the timeline shorter and the target harder to read. And missile defense is a timeline game. Here is the chain defenders must follow. First, detect the launch. Second, keep tracking it. Third, predict where it is going. Fourth, choose the right interceptor. Fifth, launch and guide the interceptor into a hit. That whole chain has to work fast. If one step is late, the next step becomes harder, and the last step can become impossible. So how does a hypersonic-style weapon stress that chain? Two ways. First, it can shrink warning time. Some flight paths can be lower and flatter than classic ballistic arcs. Lower paths can mean less time on radar and fewer seconds to decide. In missile defense, seconds are everything. Second, it can keep changing the math. If a warhead maneuvers late in flight, the best guess impact point keeps moving. That forces defenders into ugly choices. Shoot early, and you might waste interceptors on the wrong path. Wait longer, and you might miss the intercept window. And that window can be tiny. At these speeds, half a minute is not a little late. Half a minute can be the difference between an intercept attempt and watching the track vanish from the best angle. There is another detail that makes this feel even worse. Some descriptions of Iran's approach suggest a re-entry vehicle that can steer using control surfaces and may even have a small motor for parts of flight. Why does that matter? Because when a warhead drops into thick air, it usually loses speed fast. If it can keep control while keeping energy, it can stay dangerous longer and stay confusing longer. This is why people say defenses are useless. But let me be honest, because your awareness should be based on truth, not panic. Hard to intercept does not mean impossible to intercept. Hypersonic flight is brutal. Heat is extreme. The air is violent. Electronics can fail. Materials can crack. Guidance can drift. A weapon can look powerful in public and still struggle to be reliable in real use. That is why smart analysts don't treat every announcement like a finished, perfect product. So when Iran says U.S. defenses are useless, part of that is psychological warfare. It is designed to shake confidence. And confidence matters, because missile defense is not only rockets and radar, it is also belief. It is the belief that you have time, control, and protection. Here's the deeper strategy. Iran does not need a perfect missile. Iran only needs doubt. If leaders believe even a few weapons might get through, they change how they operate. Aircraft get spread out. Fuel is moved. Key rooms get hardened. Backup command posts appear. Forces relocate. That is expensive, stressful, and slow. And all of that can happen before any missile is launched. Now, here is the part most people miss. Real attacks do not come one at a time. In a real crisis, threats can arrive as a mix. Drones, decoys, older missiles, electronic noise, then the fastest weapons mixed in. The goal is not only to hit, the goal is to overload, to confuse sensors, to force rushed choices, to drain interceptor stocks, because interceptor stocks are not infinite. Interceptors cost a lot. Launchers have limits. Reloading takes time. Crews get tired. And every interceptor fired at the wrong track is one less interceptor for the real threat. In a long fight, that math becomes deadly. A fast, maneuvering weapon becomes the spear tip in that chaos. It is the track that makes the defense hesitate. It is the threat that forces a hard question. Do we shoot now, or do we wait? And hesitation is deadly. So what does this mean for U.S. defenses in the real world? It means the fight becomes a race of seeing and deciding. Earlier warning matters, better tracking matters, faster data sharing matters, more coverage matters, and layered defense matters, because a maneuvering target tries to slip through gaps between systems. It also means reducing the value of fixed targets. The region is full of big, expensive places that do not move. Air bases, ports, fuel storage, radar sites, and command centers. If Iran can threaten those targets with less warning and harder tracking, Iran gains leverage. Sometimes leverage matters more than impact. So does Iran's new hypersonic weapon truly leave U.S. defenses useless? Not in a simple, movie-like way. U.S. defenses are not blind, and they are not frozen in time. They adapt, they upgrade, they change tactics. But Iran is aiming at the hardest part of defense: short timelines, confusing paths, and high-pressure decisions, and that is the real warning. Because in modern conflict, the deadliest advantage is not always the biggest explosion. It is the ability to steal decision time. When leaders have seconds instead of minutes, mistakes happen. And once a mistake happens, even the most advanced system can still fail. If you remember one line from this entire story, remember this: missile defense is built on prediction. A weapon that stays fast and keeps changing its path attacks prediction itself. And once prediction breaks, the shield starts to crack.